Let's welcome Kathy Holly and Spotlight.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Spotlight. Great to be here tonight on this rainy night. Now, if you hear the rain in the background, we still are going to forge ahead, but be aware it is raining tonight. And I have two marvelous guests who decided to come anyway. That doesn't stop us, right? It doesn't matter.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. And over here is Miss Barbara Rodgers, who's a wonderful, legendary reporter, anchor newswoman, MC, show host. And then on my right, I have Lorna Kay, a wonderful musician and singer, and she has a band. And we're going to get right into all of this to find out all about you wonderful artists. I'm so fortunate to have both of you on the show tonight. Thank you.
Nice to be here.
And Lorna, it's great to reconnect with you. We reconnected when you were singing at the Rex Hotel in San Francisco, where you are performing.
We cross paths about once every 6 or 7 years or so.
It was time again to cross paths.
It was kismet.
Yes, and then I was thinking, you know, this would be great to have you on the show, and I was reading all about you on your website. Mm-hmm. Will you please tell us a little bit about your background? You were born in Los Angeles,
I was born in Torrance, California, and you know, when it rains in LA, it rains in Torrance. Had to get that out there.
Thank you. Oh, that's very good.
Yes, that's so that's the South Bay area of LA, and that's where I grew up.
And I understand that you played basketball.
I did. I am a beneficiary of Title IX. When I came of age in high school, everything was already in place to just walk in and into a varsity program for girls in high school.
Oh, how great.
And so I played 4 years in high school.
And you went on to become a professional.
I went on, yes, via playing for 4 years at Colorado College. And then when I graduated, I had the opportunity to go play in Avignon, France.
Oh my gosh, I think I'm so sorry you had a chance to go to Avignon.
You know,
that was where the
Pope
spent his...
It was either Tokyo or Avignon, and I thought, you know, a whole year, maybe I'd stand a chance.
It was where the Pope vacationed.
That
was his vacation. I've been to Avignon. So you had all of that influence. See, you had a lot of wonderfulness behind it. And
That's
I know
right.
that comes into your music because you sing in French.
I certainly do.
As well as English. And I know the name of your new group is Malibu Buckaroo.
Oui.
And tell me, though, how you got into music. All of this basketball I read, and I'm going, I didn't realize that.
How I got into music, I guess, you know, you're kind of, you enter things that you don't realize you're entering. I always loved music. I absorbed music like a sponge with my brothers and bringing all of the great music of the 60s and 70s into our house, and I adored everything that they did and absorbed everything that they brought in, and so I consequently was a fan of the Beach Boys and the Beatles and the Kinks and all of these wonderful, wonderful bands. Not to mention Julie Andrews and The Sound of Music, of course. That was my #1 fave. But you know, fast forward, you know, having graduated and, you know, kind of through with playing basketball and not quite knowing where to send that creative energy. And I kept finding that I was like playing the heck out of my dashboard on the way home from work every day and to the Talking Heads and Joe Jackson. And I finally decided I wanted to learn how to play congas. And
good for you.
So I did and played for many years in a batteria down at Fisherman's Wharf with my...
Oh, so you were in San Francisco then?
Yes.
By then?
Yes.
All right, you moved to San Francisco.
Indeed.
Why did you know, I always think, I lived in LA for a while. Why didn't I stay there? Because that's where everything is. But what made you move to San Francisco? I mean, you know.
Well, what made me leave Los Angeles was wanting to get out of Dodge, like a lot of young people do. When the prospect came to go available to go away to college, I wanted to go explore other places.
Good for you. And then from playing the congas, you got
congas,
into singing, right?
Yes, in fact, I met my first husband, Ned Boynton, when I was playing, and we were in a rock and roll band together, a prog rock, I guess you'd call it. I don't know, the Bunyups.
Great.
And then I would also sit in with Ned and play in his combo when we did Latin tunes and stuff. And by and by, I just started singing a little bit more. And one day, actually, there was a definitive day that I remember. Ned was playing a private party, and he was backing Paula West.
Yeah.
It was when
great.
Paula was just starting out, and Paula
Yes.
got up and sang Manhattan, and I just sat there in front of her and looked, and I said, that looks like so much fun. I want to do that. And I think Paula West was one of my biggest, you know, just like that
An
moment.
incentive and
Yeah, and
that
from
was
there I
wonderful.
just started then listening to jazz music and absorbing Ella and Mildred Bailey and Lee Wiley
And all these people.
And all these people.
Well, listen, considering we have a short amount of time,
Yeah.
I would like to show everybody
Yes.
a live performance of some of you did. It's a video
Okay.
of a performance you did, and I know that the song is, I can't think of it.
Send in the
Send
Clowns.
It, no,
on the
on the video performance at the Royal.
Was it every night? Was it in my room?
In my room.
Okay.
That's it.
There you go.
So if we can get that video up, that would be terrific. In my room. I think I might be doing this early. But we're also going to hear some sound bites from your new CD because I want to talk to everybody about it. But let's see, In My Room, and you were at the Cafe Royale?
The Cafe Royale, yes.
That is great. And now tell us about the group Malibu Buckaroo. I see a couple of instruments there.
Malibu Buckaroo
rhythm
is
guitar, right?
Rhythm guitar. I play rhythm guitar.
And the other one?
My dear friend Ned Doherty plays bass, electric bass.
Yes.
And we have two soloists. We have Mike Groh, who plays electric guitar. He's our solo voice and color band on, he can do anything with the guitar. He's amazing. And Dory Collar plays mandolin and dobro.
That's what I was hearing, the mandolin. Oh,
Yes.
I love it. Well, this is the name of your group now.
Yes,
this
it is.
Malibu Buckaroo. How
What?
did you come up with that name? Very briefly, because I want to get to the sound bites. I mean, Malibu, of course.
Well, I was gravitating towards music from Los Angeles. We were doing a lot of Beach Boys, Brian Wilson tunes, and then also doing Buck Owens tunes. And I thought, gosh, from Malibu to Bakersfield, Malibu Buckaroo, and I just thought those words were so much fun.
It makes sense.
And then so to make it so that it makes sense that we do also a lot of cowboy French music and Serge Gainsbourg tune, I put an E accent aigu in the middle of Buckaroo.
Fantastic. Let's do this. Let's hear a cut from Send in the Clowns, which is something I do want to get over right now to the audience. Let's hear that.
Isn't it rich? Are we up there? Me here at last on the ground, you in midair. Where are the clowns? Isn't it bliss?
I love it. You're going to have to go out and buy the album, everybody.
Indeed.
The CD is called Malibu Buckaroo. Now, I love it because this is such a different arrangement of Send in the Clowns. It's country, which makes sense.
It's got a nice little rocking chair quality. That's sort of, we kind of, that's where
I like
the
that.
Malibu Buckaroo hat is a grand, you know, A to Z principle. It incorporates a wide variety of styles, and it rocks easy in a little country western
Oh, I was
feel.
singing along with it all the time. Now let's get to the other cut. We have another song,
good.
La Gadou.
La
'Cause
Gadou.
Yes, La Gadou, the French, which means, tell me what the title
The
means. very quick.
mud.
The
It's
mud.
about lovers splashing around in the mud. It's a very
Oh,
racy little fun
This
Serge
is
Gainsbourg
very
tune.
sexy things here.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
Sautez le champagne. Allez, en avant. Oui. Bonjour, mon amour.
Serge.
Du mois de septembre au mois d'août, faut jouer des pattes en caoutchouc pour partager dans la gadou, la gadou, la gadou, la gadou, ouh, la gadou, la gadou. Une à une des gouttes d'eau me dégoulinent dans le dos. Nous partageons dans la gadou, la gadou, la gadou, la gadou, ouh, la gadou, la gadou. Vivons un peu sous ciel gris bleu d'amour et d'eau de pluie.
You know what? It's fantastic. I want to applaud you on that.
Thank
The
you very
French
much.
is beautiful. I studied French in school for 12 years,
And-
but I could never, ever speak it fluently. And just tell us very briefly now, if you were to translate that song in English, would we blush?
There are a few nice double entendres that Serge
So it's about
slips in there.
splashing around in the mud?
Splashing around in the mud. You know, good thing you have your impermeable.
Okay, I love that. All right. This is wonderful. Thank you so much,
You're
Lorna.
welcome, Kathy.
And
Thank
the
you for
album
having
again is
me.
Malibu Buckaroo. And of course, you perform the third.
Right now,
Third Friday.
you can find Mike and I the third Friday of every month
All
at
right.
the Hotel Rex.
That's really fantastic. Okay, everybody out there, you've got to make a trip to San Francisco, but it's worth it. Well worth it. I love it. They have a fireplace. It's a cozy cocktail lounge in the
Indeed.
Hotel Rex. I'm going to do my cabaret show, you know, at the Society Cabaret there.
Yes,
Oh my
yes.
gosh. March 31st, please put it on your
Nice.
calendar, everybody. I don't want to end up having no one in the audience. But we're going to move right along here to Miss Barbara Rodgers.
Thank you,
My
Kathy.
first, you are really my first star. Famous person. Oh my gosh. I just,
I'm honored.
well, I am honored too. I am so totally honored. Maybe we should give you the mic and interview me. No, Barbara Rodgers has been, well, for 30 years you were with KPIX.
Yeah, 29 and a half technically, but I just say
yeah,
30. It was so
30
close.
rounded off. And you were one of the most recognizable newscasters, that's for sure. You started at the station in 1979.
And I retired in 2008, but I haven't stopped working. I still drop in there occasionally to do something. I do Comcast newsmakers for
Yes, I
Comcast TV. I've had a
saw
couple of
that, by the
shows
way.
of my own. I had a radio program in 2009 called Live from San Francisco. It's Barbara Rodgers. I did another television program called The Bronze Report, which you can see online, those pieces.
On YouTube. That's really a
And,
great
and actually on our
source.
website, thebronzereport.com, has most of the pieces that we did on there. So,
Oh, and
so I'm still, I keep trying to be retired, but every
You will
time.
never retire.
Oh no, I want to.
No,
I
it's in
want
your
to.
blood. I mean, isn't it true with the passion we all have, whether it's music, broadcast, you can't retire. Someone asks you, I'll never retire. What? I mean, does a painter retire?
No,
You know what
but
I mean?
I'd kind of like to be a little more retired than I am. I'd like to just have more time to just take off whenever I get ready to go, which I've been doing more of, and I love to travel.
Well, I also was reading this, on your website, which, by the way, out there is Barbara on TV. But I was looking at your career highlights, just some of the things. You've won 8 Emmy Awards from the
Yes.
Northern. This is just unbelievable. Some of your accomplishments, and much of them have to do with giving of yourself for a charitable organization or for improving society in some way, a social justice issue, right?
Yes.
And that you received the Pioneer Award from the National Coalition of 100 Black Women and the Governor's Award from NATAS, the highest local award a journalist
And
can
from
receive.
the League of Women Voters, their very first year that they were doing these awards, I received a Women Who Could Be President. And
I saw that.
I was just so flabbergasted. I said, "This is quite amazing."
Would you put a cabaret into every hotel, perhaps, if you were president? That's one of the most important things, a cabaret club everywhere. Well, and then you were given the National Unity Award from the Radio and Television News Directors Association for reporting in the series Muslims in America. Well,
That was after 9/11, and it is. I was thinking today because there is a documentary that's being done now called "The Secret Life of Muslims," and it's very similar to some of the things that we brought out in our Muslims in America series, because people, you know, when you don't know somebody and what they're like, it's very easy to dislike them and be afraid of them. But when you really get inside and see who they are, and that, of course, is something that's always been a part of my career, because I grew up in the South during segregation. So I know what it's like to be the other, to be the left out one, to have the doors closed in your face.
Yes.
I grew up when they still had the signs.
It's amazing.
Colored and white, you know, downtown bathrooms. There were places that we could not go, you know.
Just like the movie today, you know, the hidden.
I lived it. Yeah, I lived it in Tennessee, as I was
women
growing
that
up.
worked on
I went to all
Manassas.
segregated schools from grades 1 through 12, because the schools were, even though they were supposedly integrated in the 1950s after Brown versus the Board of Education, they left it up to the states, because the southern states really made a big fuss about states' rights. So they left it up to them how they would implement it. And my state, they decided to do a grade a year. And so it never caught up with me, because I was already past first grade. So the first year they did first grade, but I was already past first grade.
It, so you were still segregated.
Yes, so I went to all segregated schools.
Well, this brings me to, how did you ever get to California then and end up in TV?
A very circuitous route, but
Yes.
I'll give you the short version.
Give me the short story.
I went to college in Knoxville, to one of the historically black colleges. It's now almost closed down, the one I went to, but it was thriving back then, Knoxville College. I was offered a job in Rochester, New York. I was a business major in college, as a computer programmer. I was one of the early women in technology, which is just amazing.
There you go.
And I went to work
first.
for our Fortune 500 company, the Eastman Kodak Company, which was back then a huge, huge company. And did not like tech, did not like being a computer programmer. And so I left and went to work in a program with the State University of New York, teaching disadvantaged adults.
And that's perfect. That ties in with, I bet that warmed your heart. I know that time is going to be of essence here, so I'm wondering if we can fast forward to when you're in your career in journalism, how many wonderful things you've done, you know, being a news anchor and special reporting. Do we have some clips, you know, from some wonderful spots here that you did? I think the first one we're going to show is you in South Africa.
Yes, that was one of the highlights of my career, to get to do that that documentary, and I won one of my Emmys for that. It's called South Africa After Apartheid. We'll just take a look.
We have to take a look at this, and you met Nelson Mandela, so that's great. Well, let's take a look at that. That's a story. I'm sure you could give us the whole scoop on that. And
South Africa is a fascinating place. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But nothing quite prepares you for South Africa. Nothing you've seen, nothing you've read, nothing you've heard.
It's a really beautiful place, and I think the media and everything make it sound much worse than it actually is.
Because of apartheid laws, I wasn't allowed to visit my mother where she worked, because I couldn't. I didn't have a permit.
But we can never give up the right to govern ourselves, the right to be free and independent, because we have no other country to go.
I thought I was prepared for South Africa. After all, I had grown up under America's own apartheid system in the segregated South of the 1940s and 50s. I know firsthand what it's like to be treated differently because of the color of your skin. It was that knowledge that made me somewhat apprehensive about going to South Africa in the first place. It is a country that has a history of brutal mistreatment of blacks. Because of its racist past, South Africa has been somewhat cut off from the rest of the world for a long time. That's partly why 4 other African-American journalists and I were chosen to spend a month in Africa's southernmost country, reporting on the changes taking place in South Africa after apartheid.
Well, that's just
So
the
I
beginning.
did, as you said, yes, that's just the beginning. It was an hour-long documentary, but we covered the whole country and what was happening now that apartheid had ended and right before Nelson Mandela was elected president.
And you met him.
And I got to meet him, yes.
What a thrill in your
I
life.
think I sent you a picture. I don't know if you have
did.
it.
I don't know if we have it on the screen, but
Yes.
Nelson Mandela, I did. You know what, I'm wondering if we can even get a little bit of this other clip that I have when you were talking to a mother and about her child that she needed a transplant. The
A heart
child
transplant.
did, and you were very, very instrumental in arranging this and getting it done. So she eventually had the transplant.
She did, and then it was 29 years later.
She needed another one. I found.
Well,
out,
not right after.
No?
No, it was 29 years later that she got in touch with me to thank me.
Oh, this is a reunion of this.
yeah.
And if we can just show that clip very quickly, we have a little time left. So this is about the heart transplant for Corey Crow.
You're gonna make me cry.
The last time I saw Corey Crow was almost 30 years ago, when she was just a few weeks away from her 3rd birthday.
A what heart?
A green heart.
Is that what kind of heart you want?
Yes.
Corey was a very sick little girl back in 1987. Without a heart transplant, doctors gave her only a few months to live. But her mother's insurance had denied coverage for the surgery. 30 years ago, some insurance companies considered transplants for children under 5 as experimental. But Corey's mother didn't give up.
Doctors here at Stanford Medical Center have performed more than 40 heart transplants on patients under the age of 19.
So that's what I did. I called Channel 5.
And I told her story.
When I came to see you that first time,
What was your feeling that day when I showed up at your front door?
I was just shocked. Shocked and relieved that, maybe somebody will do something.
We were able to get the coverage that we needed so that she could have her transplant.
Was it painful? Do you remember it being painful or?
Well, I don't remember the actual pain, but I do remember the itching.
Corey got her new heart at Stanford Hospital in 1988. She was one of only 20 children ages 1 to 5 to get a transplant in the U.S. that year.
And then, 29 years later, she looked me up and came to thank me for saving her life. That was so emotional for me.
Oh, it's an emotional, wonderful story. I mean,
it was a wonderful story.
I know we don't have time, for everything. In fact, we're running out of time. James is holding it up. Oh, we do have 10 minutes? That's good. That's pretty good. Well, we have time. I didn't realize, I guess I felt like we were rushing through the show here, but we have time, but we never have time, right? It's always the same story. But I was just thinking about that other clip. We probably won't have time to see it, but I really loved it. It was about losing 10,000 pounds in Oakland. You interviewed him, a gentleman, and it was a big push for everybody in Oakland to lose pounds.
I'm not sure which one. Oh, this was on my Comcast Newsmakers.
Yes, on Comcast Newsmakers.
Yes,
I thought that was wonderful.
On Comcast Newsmakers, I interview people who are involved with community groups, who are in nonprofits, and they had made a commitment to get the whole community healthy. And so the 10,000 pounds was for the whole community. That's why you threw me off a little bit there. I was like, who is this man? Yes, and he was one of the participants. I believe he lost over 100 pounds.
Yes,
yeah.
I thought he lost about 200.
Yeah, I think he did. He lost quite a bit.
What a wonderful idea to do the Comcast newscasters, is it called?
Comcast Newsmakers.
Newsmakers. Why can't you do that some more?
Oh, I still do that. I do that.
You do?
Yeah, that one I still do.
How is that done? You do it at Comcast?
Yes. We tape them. Comcast has several studios around the country. I do the one for the East Bay, for Alameda and Contra Costa counties. Occasionally we have somebody from Solano County who comes into our studio too. There's another person who does it for San Mateo County, somebody else San Mateo and Santa Clara County, somebody else who does it for San Francisco and Marin County, and there's people in Sacramento. They're all over the country. And we interview newsmakers all over the country. I've been doing that since 2010. So going on 7 years now, since May of 2010.
It is just wonderful.
That's my retirement job.
I think that's a wonderful job. I would love to be a part of that job. There's, television has always interested me.
Yes.
And I'm so thrilled I met you, because I met you at San Francisco State for a SAG-AFTRA workshop on broadcast.
Yes.
And I thought, well, I broadcast. I better go to that workshop.
Wasn't it a wonderful
I
workshop?
loved it. And
Yeah.
you were so marvelous. There you were up on the podium, and I said, there's a woman who is very approachable. I am sure of that. So there I was, finishing the workshop, running out, chasing, excuse me, Barbara, Miss Rodgers,
Well,
would you ever be on my TV show?
Yes.
And she said yes. Oh my gosh, Barbara, I'm so glad you were here.
But this is how I started in a public affairs show. That was my very first TV job. And you had asked me before how I went from Tennessee. I didn't go from Tennessee to California. I went from Tennessee to New York, as I said, to work for the Eastman Kodak Company. Then I went into teaching, and it was through the teaching job that I was invited to be on a program like this to talk about the program, because we were recruiting students, where we were changing people's lives, getting them off welfare, getting them out of poverty, getting them jobs, giving them skills.
Yes, again, social work.
And
social
I got
work
discovered through that show.
Fantastic. That is, well, in a way.
And it turned into a career.
Well, this is great. I have a career in music, but I think I'm enjoying this career right here at PCT, and I love it. And hopefully, I can do more of these type of interviews and with other artists.
Yeah,
it
was.
really is.
It was. It was really just quite amazing.
So that's an amazing story in itself.
Yeah, as I was saying to Lorna earlier, I didn't know that was the career I was supposed to have, because growing up, that was not an option for someone like me. There were no women, hardly any women on TV. There were no black women on TV. I never would have thought that would be my career, but it kept coming after me, and finally one day I said yes, and then it just took off because it was really what I was supposed to do.
And there's so many people really make it interesting too. I'm sure you know that, and the different topics that you've covered and situations that you cover. And I find that interesting. I don't know how much time we have. Do I have time to say anything here? I do. I want to thank Lorna, too, for coming on. I'm going to be down to see you again, of course.
Yeah, wonderful.
Oh, my goodness. So this is great. And I guess, we have a mutual admiration society here.
Yes.
Yeah, there you have
it.
Well, three women who are out there in the public doing all different kinds of things. I mean, and look at you. You go from basketball to music. I don't know how you started, whether you started with music. But
well, I did really. When I was 3 years old, I said, I'm going to be a movie star. And from then on in,
nice.
I mean, this has been my whole career. It's been music, traveling. I made a living doing it, and I can get in theater. I'm a drama person too. I've done theater, and
I did too. Very early in my life.
Well, I traveled with a company. We did a theater for children, and that was after college. So I had to go to school and get my BA, or I never, couldn't have spoken to my mother again. And but I did theater in college, and theater. All I wanted to do was theater, and all I wanted to do was sing, and all I wanted. And then it was the ukulele, and then it was the guitar, and then a little piano. Anyway, the story goes on. So you can interview me sometime, and I'll tell you the rest of the story. Okay.
Well, I think I am interviewing you.
You are. You know the questions to ask to get me started. See?
Really?
Oh, it's great.
But I think it's really wonderful that all three of us are doing something that we really wanted to do.
That's it. That's the whole thing. And stick with it, whatever it is out there that you want to do. Passion. Use your passion.
Don't let anybody else tell you you can't have a dream.
Kidding.
That's right. Bye-bye, everyone. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's just...
Hey, mambo, mambo Italiano. Hey, mambo, mambo Italiano. Go, 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 you mixed up Siciliano. Hung your Genovese to the mambo like a crazy with a hey, mambo. Don't want a tarantella, hey, mambo. No more a mozzarella, hey, mambo. Mambo Italiano. Try an enchilada with the